Us. Because the second time he goes, there's a fourth man added to it. And now we have the four best-known Christians in the ancient world. Who's the fourth name in Galatians 2? Has anybody skimmed ahead? Besides Peter, the one who denied, Paul, the persecutor, James, the unbeliever, we have a fourth name. Who is it? It's John, the son of Zebedee, the disciple whom Jesus loved. Probably the four best-known Christians in the ancient world. Could you imagine a meeting like this? You know, I saw your advertisement while we're starting here. How many people you're coming to the church? How many people you have coming here? Could you imagine getting the four top scholars at one time under your roof, answering your toughest questions, and you get to sit with them? Paul spent 15 days with Peter in Galatians chapter 1, verse 18. The English slaughters this, but in the Greek, there's a little word there. So while Paul was talking to Peter, he uses the word historicei. The root word, histor, H-I-S-T-O-R. It's the Greek word from which we get our word history. You know what the word meant in the first century? Playing the role of the investigative reporter. Now you got your picture. Jesus dies. 5 years later, Paul goes up to Jerusalem, meets for 15 days with Peter and James, and played the role of the investigative reporter to make sure that he understood the nature of the gospel. He did it again 14 years later. Then he went to Corinth and preached it to them in 51 AD. Went to a lot of other places too. And in 55 AD, he writes it. This whole timeline is only 25 years. But Paul got this material at +5. Now on your PowerPoint, there's a question mark right about here. You know what that's for? If Paul received this information at +5, somebody had it before Paul did, didn't they? He wasn't the first one to get it. Remember 1 Corinthians 15:3. I gave you what I was given. Somebody had it before Paul did. Nobody ever puts a date on when Peter and James and the others got this. You know why? We don't have to. We're right back to the line. We're back to the beginning. Folks, there's nothing like this in ancient history. Livy records the founding of Rome 700 years after the event. Our best sources for Tiberius Caesar, who's on the throne when Jesus dies, 3 of our best sources for Tiberius Caesar are 80 to 180 years after he lived. And Paul got this material at +5. And somebody had it before Paul did. 3 evidences for the resurrection come out of this list. They all start with the letter E. First of all, the resurrection proclamation, as you saw on the previous PowerPoint slide, was early. Nobody waited way down there before they began preaching. Do you know that Buddha has miracles reported of him, but they're reported 300 to 500 years after he lived? We've got this from right at the time of the cross. It's early. Number 2, who are the guys who are doing the telling? Paul, James, Peter, and John. Eyewitnesses, the second E. We have an early proclamation from 4 eyewitnesses. And one more thing. 1 Corinthians 15:3. Paul says he died for your sins, he was buried, and he was raised. What's going on when you have somebody who's alive, dead, buried, and raised? What happens? If a body's alive, dead, buried, raised, the tomb is empty, right? What goes down is what comes out. If he's alive, dead, buried, raised, he's not down here anymore. The third evidence for the resurrection tonight, another E, is the empty tomb. You've got an eyewitness report that was done very, very early, and nobody's in that tomb. There's a lot of evidences, other evidences for the resurrection. We'll give you 10 others tonight. But those 3 are enough to get us going. Jesus claimed to be the Son of God. Anybody can say anything. I was told, I don't know if this is true, I was told that Charles Manson said he was Jesus. A lot of people can say a lot of things, but Jesus said he was deity. He died. He was raised. The resurrection is God's approval of Jesus' ministry. You say, how do you know that? Well, think about it. If Jesus died, he couldn't have raised himself because he's dead. God would have to have acted upon him. And God would not have acted upon him to raise him to proclaim a message if he were a heretic. So by raising Jesus from the dead, God is saying, this man is who he claims to be. This is the gospel all wrapped up in one. If Jesus, you ever think about this? If Jesus has been raised from the dead, if all you know is that Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, died and was raised, the center of Christianity follows. All of us have questions. Sovereignty or free will? We've got big questions. But you can wait till eternity. Talk to Paul when you get up there. You don't have to solve those things right now. People use the Bible, and we differ. That's why some people are called Calvinists and some are not. You know the story. But if all you know is that Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, died on the cross, was raised from the dead, Christianity follows. What difference does that make today? Let's talk about, for the remaining few minutes here, let's talk about 2004. What difference does this make in 2004? 1 Corinthians 15:58. Last verse in this wonderful chapter, 58 verses, Paul says, Therefore, what's Paul said? I preach you the gospel. He's been raised from the dead. It's the center of Christianity, verses 12 through 20. We'll be raised like him, verses 35 and following. And he gets all the way to the end and he says, therefore. First thing, he says, therefore, be steadfast in your faith. I'm going to come back to the first point. The first point up here, Paul just got done talking about death. I'm going to come back to that. But 1 Corinthians 15:58.